The morning sun was gentle and warm, spilling golden light across the small backyard garden. Claire had always loved her garden. It was her little escape, a place where she could forget about the world and focus on the simple joys of life. She loved the smell of freshly turned soil, the soft rustle of leaves in the wind, and the tiny creatures that visited her garden every day. Birds sang from the trees, butterflies danced over the flowers, and bees hummed as they collected nectar. But today her attention was drawn to something unusual. Near the base of an old oak tree at the far corner of the garden, she noticed a mound of soil she had not seen before. At first she thought it was just another ant nest, the kind she had seen countless times. But something about this one felt different. She knelt down and looked closely. The soil was arranged in neat little tunnels, more complex than any ant nest she had ever observed. Tiny ants scurried in and out, carrying bits of dirt and small pieces of leaves. Their movements were swift, precise, almost choreographed. Claire was fascinated. She had seen ants before, of course, but these seemed unusually organized. She watched for a long time, forgetting about her other chores, completely absorbed by the tiny world before her eyes. She gently moved a twig to see deeper into the nest and noticed how the tunnels branched in multiple directions. It was as if the ants were building something far larger than a simple nest. Claire could feel her curiosity growing. She had always been a curious person, drawn to things that seemed ordinary but might hold hidden secrets. This nest, small as it was, seemed to whisper of something extraordinary beneath the surface. For the next few days, Claire returned to the nest regularly. She took notes and photographs documenting the ants' activity. She noticed patterns in the way they moved, how they seemed to transport food and soil with great care. The mound itself grew larger each day, and she began to suspect that there was more to it than she had first imagined. Her friends and neighbors noticed her fascination and teased her a little, calling her the Ant Lady, but Claire didn't mind. She felt a quiet excitement, the kind that comes when you sense that you are on the edge of discovering something special. One afternoon, as she crouched near the nest with her camera, she saw a shadow move across the soil in a strange way. She leaned closer and realized that there were tiny openings leading to deeper tunnels. The structure was intricate, almost like a hidden labyrinth. She couldn't see how far it went, but the complexity suggested that it had been there for a long time. Claire felt a thrill of anticipation and a tinge of worry. What if disturbing the nest could harm the ants? Yet she couldn't help but wonder what lay beneath the surface. Her curiosity led her to research ant behavior online. She learned about different types of ant species, how they build colonies, and how their nests can sometimes reach astonishing sizes. None of the articles she read prepared her for what she was seeing in her own garden. The nest seemed unusually large and sophisticated for such a small backyard. Claire began to speculate quietly to herself. Was it possible that this was not just a normal ant colony? Was it possible that something else was hiding beneath the soil, protected by the ants' diligent work? The following morning, she noticed a change. The mound had grown overnight and the ants were busier than ever. Claire felt an urgency she could not explain. She fetched a notebook and began to draw the layout of the nest as best as she could, marking the tunnels and openings. She wanted to capture every detail, fearing that if she waited too long, she might miss something important. As she sketched, she heard a soft rustling sound from the base of the tree. Claire froze. It was different from the usual movements of the ants. It was deeper, more deliberate. She leaned in closer, straining to see, but the shadows hid whatever was making the noise. Days passed and Claire's fascination only grew. She began to talk to the nest as if it could hear her, telling the ants about her day, sharing her thoughts aloud. It made her laugh, but she felt a connection to the tiny creatures that was hard to explain. Her neighbors started to notice that she spent hours each day in the garden, photographing and observing. Some of them shook their heads and muttered about how much time she was wasting, but Claire didn't mind. She felt that she was on the verge of discovering something incredible. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the sky turned shades of pink and orange, Claire sat by the nest with her notebook and camera. She decided to dig a little, carefully and gently, to see if she could uncover more of the tunnels. She used a small hand trowel, moving slowly so as not to harm the ants. As she removed layers of soil, she noticed that the tunnels went deeper than she expected. The soil was compact and smooth, almost polished in some areas. It was not the rough, crumbly soil she was used to in her garden. She paused, feeling a mixture of excitement and fear. What was she digging into? What secrets lay beneath the surface? Her thoughts raced. She remembered stories she had read about hidden underground structures, ancient civilizations, and secret tunnels. Could it be possible that her backyard held something similar? She shook her head, trying to calm herself. It seemed impossible. Yet the deeper she dug, the more she felt that she was on the edge of uncovering something extraordinary. She carefully took photographs of the tunnels as she went, documenting every detail for herself. She didn't want to tell anyone yet, fearing that the magic of the discovery might be spoiled if she shared it too soon. By the end of the week, Claire had spent countless hours observing and documenting the nest. She had grown attached to the tiny ants, feeling a sense of responsibility for them. She also felt a growing sense of anticipation. She knew that what she had found was unusual, perhaps even extraordinary. She kept thinking about what could be hidden beneath the surface, protected by the ants' tireless work. The garden, which had always been a place of peace and routine, had become a place of mystery and wonder. One morning, she decided to call a friend who worked at a local university. She showed them the photographs and described the unusual behavior of the ants and the structure of the nest. Her friend was intrigued and suggested that they bring in some experts to take a closer look. Claire felt a rush of excitement. The idea that scientists might investigate the nest added a new level of anticipation. She couldn't wait to see what they might discover. As she prepared for the visit of the experts, Claire felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. She knew that this simple ant nest had already changed her life in subtle ways. It had awakened a curiosity she had not realized she possessed. She had spent years enjoying her garden quietly, but now it had become a place of potential discovery. The thought that something extraordinary could be hidden in plain sight, right under her feet, filled her with awe. When the day of the visit arrived, Claire welcomed the team of scientists with a mixture of pride and nervousness. They set up their equipment, including ground-penetrating tools and cameras. Claire watched as they began to examine the nest, feeling a thrill of anticipation with every careful movement. She could see the excitement in their eyes as well, the same excitement she had felt from the first moment she noticed the unusual mound of soil. The scientists started taking measurements and making notes. They observed the ants' behavior and the structure of the tunnels. Claire stood nearby, asking questions and sharing her observations. She felt like a part of a larger adventure, a journey that had begun with a simple observation in her backyard. The excitement was palpable, a quiet hum of anticipation that filled the air. By the end of the day, the team of scientists had made their first preliminary observations. They were intrigued but cautious, not wanting to jump to conclusions. Claire felt a sense of pride and wonder. She had started with a simple curiosity, and now she was at the center of a discovery that could turn out to be far more significant than she ever imagined. As she watched the sun set over her garden, casting long shadows over the mysterious ant nest, she felt a deep sense of connection to the tiny creatures, the soil, and the secrets hidden beneath. The journey had just begun, and she knew that what lay beneath the surface might change everything she thought she knew about her quiet backyard. When the team of scientists arrived at Claire's backyard the next morning, they carried with them a sense of professionalism mixed with curiosity. Each of them had a notebook, specialized tools, and cameras, but their expressions betrayed the excitement of stepping into a mystery that was unlike anything they had encountered before. Claire greeted them with nervous anticipation. She had spent so many days observing the ants, documenting their movements and imagining what could lie beneath the nest. Now, with experts on site, she felt that the story was finally about to unfold in ways she could never have imagined. The scientists introduced themselves and quickly set up their equipment. They laid out a series of measuring tools, small cameras, and ground-penetrating devices near the mound. Claire watched intently as the experts worked, fascinated by how methodical and careful they were. They explained that they wanted to study the nest without harming the ants, and that their first goal was to understand the structure below the surface. Claire listened closely, absorbing every detail and asking questions. She felt a sense of belonging, like she had become part of something larger than herself. As the day progressed, the scientists began scanning the mound. They used ground-penetrating equipment to map the tunnels and openings hidden beneath the soil. Claire observed the ants moving in and out of the nest, unaware of the human attention focused on them. The scientists whispered to each other, pointing to areas on their screens where something unusual appeared. Claire's heart began to race as she realized that what she had thought was a simple ant nest was turning out to be far more complex than anyone had anticipated. One of the researchers, a tall woman with glasses and a kind smile, crouched down beside Claire. She explained that the tunnels extended deeper and wider than normal ant nests, with some sections forming chambers that looked deliberate and almost architectural. Claire could hardly believe her ears. She had always been fascinated by ants and their industriousness, but she had never imagined that a nest could be this elaborate. She leaned closer to get a better look, her eyes wide with wonder. The scientists began to carefully mark areas of interest on the surface, explaining that they might need to dig slowly to see what was hidden beneath. Claire volunteered to help, her hands trembling slightly as she gently brushed soil away under their guidance. Every scoop revealed more of the tunnels, which seemed to spiral downward in ways that made Claire dizzy just to look at. She could feel the excitement building inside her. This was no ordinary discovery. Something extraordinary was happening right beneath her feet. As they dug, Claire noticed small objects embedded in the soil. At first, she thought they were just pieces of roots or stones, but upon closer inspection, they appeared to be shaped by human hands. Tiny carvings, fragments of pottery, and worn tools peeked out from the earth. Claire's breath caught in her throat. Could it be possible that an ancient human settlement lay hidden under her garden? She exchanged a look with the scientists, who shared her astonishment. They moved even more carefully now, using brushes and small trowels to avoid damaging the fragile artifacts. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting bright light over the garden. Claire found herself caught between awe and disbelief. She had started with a simple curiosity about an ant nest, and now she was part of uncovering something that might rewrite a small piece of history. The ants continued their work, moving dirt and food completely oblivious to the humans and their careful excavations. Claire marveled at the contrast. These tiny creatures had unknowingly protected the treasures beneath for countless years. Throughout the day, the scientists worked together, discussing every find in hushed, careful tones. They speculated about the possible age of the artifacts, the origin of the structures, and the story that lay hidden below the surface. Claire took notes diligently, recording not only what they found but also the excitement and amazement she felt. Each discovery added to the sense of wonder. Every small fragment of pottery or tool told a story that had been waiting silently beneath the soil for generations. By the afternoon, a small crowd of neighbors had gathered at the edge of the yard, curious about the unusual activity. Claire waved them off gently, knowing that the discovery was delicate and that the scientists needed space to work. She could see the curiosity in their eyes, and she felt a mixture of pride and responsibility. She had started this journey alone, but now the world seemed to be taking notice. Her quiet backyard, once just a peaceful retreat, had become the center of attention and wonder. The scientists decided to pause their excavation to examine the collected artifacts. Claire watched as they carefully cleaned the fragments, revealing patterns and designs that were intricate and unfamiliar. One of the researchers, a man with a soft voice and patient hands, held up a small pottery piece and said that it might belong to a civilization that had lived in the area thousands of years ago. Claire could hardly comprehend it. The realization that she had stumbled upon something so old and significant made her feel both excited and humble. She had always loved history, but now she was witnessing it firsthand. As the day drew to a close, the scientists packed up their equipment and promised to return the next day for further excavation. Claire felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. She spent the evening reflecting on the day's events, sitting by the garden and watching the ants scurry in and out of the nest. She felt a deep connection to them, as if they were tiny guardians of the secrets below. She thought about how a simple observation, a moment of curiosity, had led to this remarkable adventure. That night, Claire couldn't sleep. Her mind was full of images of tunnels, ancient artifacts, and tiny ants working tirelessly over secrets hidden for centuries. She imagined what might be revealed in the coming days, wondering how deep the tunnels went and what stories they might tell. The excitement was overwhelming, a mix of anticipation and awe that kept her heart racing. She realized that life could hold surprises in the most unexpected places, and that paying attention to the ordinary could uncover the extraordinary. The next morning, Claire returned to the garden with renewed energy. She checked on the ants, noting the patterns of their activity and the ways they moved between tunnels. The scientists arrived shortly after, setting up their equipment with quiet efficiency. Claire joined them, eager to continue the careful excavation. As they worked, she felt a sense of partnership and shared purpose. The backyard, which had always been her personal sanctuary, had transformed into a place of discovery and wonder. During the day, the scientists made more findings that deepened the mystery. They uncovered larger chambers, some containing remnants of what appeared to be walls or supports. There were traces of charcoal, suggesting that fires had once burned in these underground spaces. Claire felt her imagination soar. She pictured ancient people living here, hiding, working, or performing rituals in the hidden tunnels below her garden. The sense of connection to the past was profound, almost overwhelming. As the sun began to dip low in the sky, Claire stood back and observed the nest and the ongoing work. She thought about how far she had come from her first casual observation. A simple curiosity about an ant mound had blossomed into a journey of discovery, learning, and wonder. She realized that sometimes paying attention to the small details of life could lead to unimaginable discoveries. The ants, oblivious to the human excitement around them, continued their tireless work, unknowingly guarding secrets that had been hidden for centuries. By the end of the day, the scientists agreed to pause and review their findings. Claire helped organize the artifacts and documented the progress. They discussed plans for the next steps, including more careful excavation and analysis. Claire listened intently, her mind buzzing with questions and excitement. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for being part of something so extraordinary. Her backyard, once a simple refuge, had become a place of history, science, and wonder. That night, as Claire sat by the window watching the stars, she reflected on the events of the past few days. She thought about the tiny ants, the mysterious tunnels, and the ancient artifacts now resting safely in the scientists' care. She realized that discovery often begins with curiosity and attention to detail, and that even the smallest things could hide remarkable stories. Claire felt a sense of anticipation for the days to come, knowing that the true secrets beneath the ant nest were only beginning to reveal themselves. The adventure had just started, and she was ready to follow it wherever it might lead. The next morning, Claire arrived in the garden with a sense of anticipation she had never felt before. The previous days had been full of wonder, but today felt different. Today felt like the moment when the true mystery of the ant nest would begin to reveal itself. The mound of soil looked ordinary in the morning light, yet Claire knew it was anything but ordinary. She knelt beside it, watching the ants move in their precise patterns, unaware of the human attention focused on them. It seemed almost magical, how such tiny creatures could guard something so ancient and hidden. The scientists arrived soon after, bringing more equipment and a sense of purpose. They had decided to dig deeper into the mound, using careful techniques to preserve both the ant colony and whatever lay beneath the soil. Claire joined them, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She had always been careful around the nest, but now the excavation had a serious purpose, and every movement mattered. The team worked silently, almost reverently, as they began to uncover the first real clues of what lay below. As they removed layers of soil, the ground revealed something remarkable. Hidden within the earth were fragments of pottery, small tools, and what appeared to be remnants of structures. The scientists exchanged astonished looks, and Claire felt her heart race. This was far more than she had imagined. The artifacts were old, delicate, and clearly made by humans. It was a hidden history, preserved beneath the tireless work of the ants. Claire could hardly believe that her quiet garden held such a secret, something that had remained undisturbed for centuries. The team carefully brushed away the dirt around the finds, revealing intricate designs on the pottery and subtle markings on the tools. Each artifact seemed to tell a story, though the full tale remained a mystery. Claire took photographs and notes, documenting every detail. She was amazed at how much the ants had unknowingly protected. Their continuous work of moving soil and maintaining their tunnels had preserved this hidden world in a way that no human could have achieved. The thought filled her with awe and respect for the tiny creatures that shared her garden. As the day progressed, the scientists began to uncover larger sections of the underground chambers. The tunnels expanded into spaces that were clearly not natural formations. Some areas had walls that had been carefully constructed, suggesting that people had once lived or worked here. Claire's imagination ran wild as she pictured ancient lives unfolding in the hidden spaces beneath her backyard. Fires may have burned, meals may have been prepared, and people may have sought shelter here, all long before her time. It was as if history itself was breathing beneath the soil, waiting for someone to uncover it. The discoveries grew more astonishing with each passing hour. The scientists found traces of charcoal in small pits, indicating that fires had once been made in these chambers. Tiny beads and carved objects appeared, suggesting that the space may have been used for rituals or artistic purposes. Claire felt a shiver of excitement. She had started with simple curiosity about ants, but now she was witnessing a story that had remained hidden for generations. Every detail revealed new questions and possibilities, and she felt a deep sense of connection to the people who had lived here long ago. Throughout the day, Claire worked closely with the scientists, carefully brushing soil away and helping to document the finds. She felt a mix of pride and responsibility, knowing that her initial curiosity had brought this hidden world to light. The backyard, once a simple place of peace, had become a portal to the past. Claire's connection to the ants deepened as well. She watched them move through the tunnels, their tiny bodies navigating the very spaces that had protected history for centuries. It was humbling and inspiring at the same time. By mid-afternoon, a pattern began to emerge. The underground chambers were not random. They had been deliberately organized. Some rooms appeared to have been living spaces, while others seemed to serve practical or ceremonial purposes. Claire marveled at the sophistication of the design, impressed by how ancient people had created such a hidden and intricate space. The ants had lived above it for generations, completely unaware that they were guardians of something extraordinary. The thought filled Claire with wonder and a sense of reverence. The scientists decided to take a short break, reviewing their notes and the artifacts they had uncovered. Claire sat nearby, her mind racing with thoughts. She felt a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The process of discovery was slow and careful, yet every small reveal brought a wave of excitement. She thought about how life often hides its secrets in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone curious enough to look closely. Her garden had become a reminder that paying attention to the world could lead to the most unexpected discoveries. As they resumed their work, the team uncovered a small cavity that contained remarkably well-preserved objects. Some appeared to be tools, while others looked like ceremonial items. Claire could hardly believe what she was seeing. The items were fragile and intricate, suggesting a level of craftsmanship that spoke to the people who had once inhabited this underground world. She felt a profound sense of connection to the past, as if she were glimpsing a story frozen in time, waiting for someone to bring it back to life. Hours passed as they carefully examined each new finding. Claire noted how the ants continued their work above, moving through the mound and maintaining their nest. It was incredible to think that the tiny creatures had unknowingly protected this history for centuries. Claire felt a deep respect for the delicate balance of nature and history, realizing that sometimes the smallest and most ordinary beings could play a crucial role in preserving the extraordinary. By late afternoon, the scientists had uncovered a chamber that appeared to be the center of the underground complex. It was larger than the other tunnels and contained the most significant artifacts so far. There were fragments of pottery with intricate designs, small tools that had been carefully made, and remnants of what might have been storage containers. Claire's excitement grew with every detail revealed. The realization that her backyard held a hidden piece of history was both thrilling and humbling. She had started with a simple curiosity, and now she was part of uncovering something remarkable. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the garden, the team decided to pause for the day. Claire helped organize the artifacts and document their positions. She felt a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. The day had been filled with discoveries that challenged everything she had imagined. She thought about the people who had once lived in the hidden chambers, wondering about their lives, their struggles, and their triumphs. The connection to the past was profound, and she felt honored to be part of the story. That evening, Claire sat in her garden, reflecting on the events of the day. She watched the ants move through their tunnels, carrying tiny pieces of soil and leaves, completely unaware of the human fascination above. She realized that curiosity and attention to detail had led her to this extraordinary discovery. A simple observation of an ant nest had opened a door to history, science, and wonder. She felt a sense of anticipation for the next day, knowing that more secrets were waiting to be revealed beneath the surface. As night fell, Claire could not help but imagine what other treasures might lie hidden in the underground chambers. She thought about the sophistication of the design, the skill of the ancient people, and the tireless work of the ants that had preserved it all. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity to witness this remarkable story unfold. Her garden had become a place of history, mystery, and connection, and she knew that the adventure was far from over. The true story of the hidden world beneath the ant nest was only beginning to emerge, and Claire was ready to follow it wherever it would lead. The next morning, the atmosphere in Claire's backyard was electric. Word had begun to spread about the unusual activity and the potential discoveries hidden beneath the ant nest. Reporters and locals had heard rumors, though no one fully understood the significance of what was happening. Claire, however, stayed focused on the work at hand. Her attention was entirely on the nest and the carefully excavated chambers beneath it. She felt a sense of responsibility to the ants, the artifacts, and the hidden history she had uncovered. The scientists arrived early, carrying more specialized equipment. They planned to carefully explore deeper sections of the tunnels that had not yet been examined. Claire helped set up the cameras and lights, making sure that every angle of the excavation was documented. Today was different from the previous days. They were beginning to uncover a more complete picture of the underground world. The anticipation was palpable, and Claire could feel the excitement building within her. As the team worked, more artifacts emerged from the soil. Small fragments of pottery, carved stones, and tools were revealed, each one more intricate than the last. The scientists were careful to clean and preserve each item, knowing that they might be thousands of years old. Claire watched with fascination as they cataloged the finds, taking measurements and photographs. Every object seemed to tell a story, though the full tale remained a mystery. She felt a deep sense of wonder at the lives that had once been lived in the hidden chambers beneath her garden. The discovery quickly drew attention beyond the immediate neighborhood. News of the excavation reached the local university and historians specializing in ancient civilizations. They expressed interest in studying the site, and some even traveled to the backyard to examine the artifacts firsthand. Claire found herself at the center of a growing community of experts, all eager to understand the significance of what had been hidden for so long. She felt proud and amazed that her simple curiosity had led to such a remarkable chain of events. The scientists began to piece together the function of the underground chambers. Some rooms appeared to be living spaces, complete with traces of hearths and storage areas. Others seemed to have been used for ceremonial purposes, indicated by the carefully arranged artifacts and symbolic carvings. Claire was struck by the sophistication of the design. It was clear that the people who had built these tunnels had a deep understanding of space, structure, and possibly even ritual. The ants above had unwittingly protected these secrets for centuries, and now they were being revealed to the world. As the day progressed, the local media arrived, curious to learn about the unusual discovery. Claire watched as cameras were set up and interviews were conducted. She spoke carefully, emphasizing the scientific importance of the find and the need to preserve the site. The media coverage brought more attention to the excavation, and soon the backyard became a hub of activity. Neighbors, historians, and archaeologists all gathered, eager to witness the unfolding story. Despite the crowd, Claire remained focused on the work, knowing that patience and care were essential to preserving the delicate site. The scientists continued to explore deeper tunnels, revealing more chambers and artifacts. Some contained small tools and personal items, while others held objects that seemed ceremonial in nature. Claire marveled at the level of craftsmanship and attention to detail. The hidden underground world was more complex and fascinating than anyone had anticipated. She felt a mixture of excitement and humility, realizing that she was a witness to a story that had been waiting centuries to be told. Throughout the day, Claire documented everything. She took photographs, recorded notes, and helped the scientists keep track of the artifacts. She felt a sense of connection to both the past and the present. The ants continued their work, moving soil and maintaining their nest, completely unaware of the human fascination above. It was astonishing to think that these tiny creatures had preserved this hidden history through their ordinary activities. Claire felt a profound respect for the delicate balance between nature and human history. By late afternoon, the scientists had uncovered a particularly significant chamber. It contained well-preserved pottery, tools and objects that suggested a complex and organized society. Claire could see the excitement on the scientists' faces as they carefully examined each item. The room appeared to have been used for important activities, possibly gatherings or ceremonies. Claire's imagination soared as she pictured the lives of the people who had once inhabited this underground world. She thought about their struggles, their traditions, and the care they had taken to build such a hidden sanctuary. The media coverage continued throughout the day, bringing more attention to the site. Claire gave interviews, describing her initial discovery and the journey that had led to the excavation. She emphasized the importance of curiosity, observation, and respect for both nature and history. Her story inspired others to look more closely at the ordinary things in their own lives, reminding them that hidden wonders could be found anywhere. Claire felt a deep sense of pride, knowing that her attention to detail had brought this extraordinary story to light. As the sun began to set, the scientists decided to pause and review their findings. Claire helped organize the artifacts and document the progress. She felt a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. The day had been filled with discoveries that were both thrilling and humbling. She thought about the tiny ants, the hidden chambers, and the ancient people who had built them. The connection between past and present felt tangible, almost magical. Claire knew that this was only the beginning of a journey that would continue to reveal the secrets beneath the ant nest. That evening, Claire sat in her garden, reflecting on the events of the day. She watched the ants move through their tunnels, carrying bits of soil and leaves, completely unaware of the human fascination above. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for being part of this discovery, and a renewed curiosity for what might still lie hidden. The backyard, once a place of quiet routine, had become a place of history, mystery, and wonder. Claire knew that the true significance of the discovery was still unfolding, and she was ready to follow it wherever it would lead. The following morning, Claire woke with a sense of anticipation unlike anything she had ever felt. The previous days had been filled with discoveries, each one more astonishing than the last, but today promised to be even more revealing. The backyard, once a quiet and ordinary space, had become a place of history, mystery, and possibility. Claire felt a deep connection to the tiny ants who continued their work, unknowingly guarding the secrets beneath the soil. The scientists arrived early, carrying tools, cameras, and additional equipment. They were ready to explore the final sections of the underground chambers, hoping to uncover the most significant artifacts yet. Claire joined them, feeling both excitement and responsibility. She knew that every movement mattered, that each careful excavation could reveal something remarkable or risk damaging the fragile history that had survived for centuries. As the team worked, they discovered a large chamber that appeared to be a central space within the underground complex. The walls were more structured than any of the other tunnels, and the floor was smoother, almost as if it had been deliberately leveled. The scientists were thrilled. They had uncovered evidence of deliberate design and planning, suggesting that the people who had built these chambers had a sophisticated understanding of construction. Claire watched in awe, marveling at the ingenuity and effort that had gone into creating this hidden world. Within the chamber, the scientists uncovered objects that were unlike anything they had found before. There were fragments of pottery with intricate designs, small tools that had been carefully crafted, and ceremonial items that hinted at cultural or religious practices. Claire could hardly believe her eyes. The discovery was more extraordinary than anything she had imagined when she first noticed the simple ant nest. The hidden world beneath her garden was revealing stories of human life, creativity, and resilience from centuries ago. The team carefully documented each item, photographing and cataloging every detail. Claire assisted, taking notes and helping to organize the artifacts. She felt a profound sense of connection to the past. Each object seemed to carry a story, a piece of a larger narrative that had been hidden beneath the soil for generations. She thought about the people who had once inhabited these chambers, imagining their daily lives, their challenges, and the care they had taken to preserve their space in secret. As the excavation continued, the scientists discovered evidence of fire pits and storage areas, suggesting that the chambers had been used for practical purposes as well as ceremonial ones. Claire was fascinated by the sophistication of the design. The chambers were not simply shelters, they were carefully planned spaces that served multiple functions. She felt a sense of awe at the intelligence and resourcefulness of the people who had created them. The ants moving above in their orderly patterns seemed to be silently acknowledging the importance of the hidden history below. Throughout the day, Claire reflected on the journey that had brought her to this point. It had begun with a simple curiosity about an ant nest, a casual observation in her backyard. Now she was part of uncovering a story that had been hidden for centuries. She felt grateful for the opportunity to witness history firsthand and to contribute to the preservation and understanding of the artifacts. The experience had deepened her appreciation for both nature and human ingenuity. By midday, the scientists had uncovered a series of smaller chambers connected to the central space. Each one contained additional artifacts, some of which were remarkably well preserved. There were tools, pottery fragments, and objects that appeared to have been used for artistic or ceremonial purposes. Claire marveled at the level of craftsmanship and the thoughtfulness of the design. The chambers revealed a community that had lived and worked with care, intelligence, and creativity, hidden away from the world above. As the day progressed, the scientists speculated about the age of the underground complex. Preliminary analysis suggested that the site could be thousands of years old. Claire felt a mixture of amazement and humility. The discovery had the potential to change what historians knew about the area and its past inhabitants. She realized that her curiosity had led to a discovery of global significance, and she felt a deep sense of responsibility to protect and honor the history she had uncovered. The local media had returned to report on the ongoing excavation. Claire spoke to reporters carefully, emphasizing the importance of preserving the site and respecting both the artifacts and the ants that had protected them for centuries. The attention brought more experts to the garden, each eager to study the hidden chambers and their contents. Claire felt proud and inspired by the collective curiosity and dedication of everyone involved. The backyard, once a private space, had become a hub of learning and discovery. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows over the garden, the scientists uncovered a particularly significant find: a small collection of objects arranged in a deliberate pattern. Claire could see that the arrangement suggested a ritual or ceremonial purpose. The objects were delicate and intricately designed, evidence of the skill and care of the people who had created them. Claire felt a sense of reverence, realizing that she was witnessing the preservation of a culture that had been hidden for centuries. The ants continuing their work above seemed almost like guardians of the story being revealed below. By late afternoon, the team had documented all the artifacts and examined the final chambers. Claire felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The backyard, once a simple place of quiet beauty, had become a portal to the past, a space where history, science, and nature intersected in extraordinary ways. She reflected on the journey that had begun with a small curiosity and had led to a discovery that would be remembered for years to come. That evening, Claire sat in her garden, watching the ants move through their tunnels. She thought about the people who had once lived in the hidden chambers and the care they had taken to preserve their space. She felt a deep connection to both the past and the present. The experience had taught her that even the smallest things, like an ant nest, could hide secrets that change the way we understand the world. She realized that curiosity, attention to detail, and respect for nature and history could lead to discoveries beyond imagination. As night fell, Claire felt a profound sense of wonder and gratitude. The underground chambers, the artifacts, and the tiny ants had all come together to reveal a story that had been hidden for centuries. She knew that the excavation would continue, that more discoveries would be made, and that the story of the hidden world beneath her garden would continue to unfold. Claire felt honored to have been part of this remarkable journey, and she knew that her life had been forever changed by the simple act of noticing an ant nest.